Well, as I said in the video this morning about Josh Berry filling in the 42 car, if there was any more news, I would talk to you about it. Well, this is news. Quite the news, actually, and it's not official yet, but it is something to talk about that I find quite interesting and could be pretty big for NASCAR on a general scale. There's potential talks happening between NASCAR and Netflix about making a docu-series. I'm going to talk about the background of that a little bit, why it's important and whatnot, and then I'm going to read the actual article, tell you some of the details. It's not official yet, nothing's been signed, but Adam Stern said NASCAR is in advanced discussions with Netflix to have this season's playoffs docu-series aired on the streaming platform per sources in what could be a notable boost for the racing property. Netflix has more than 200 million subscribers globally. So then we will go to the article and then I will give my thoughts and opinions on it. NASCAR is in advanced discussions with Netflix to have the seasons. We just said that, I think. In February, SBJ, which is Sports Business Journal, first reported that NASCAR was planning to hold off on filming a full season docuseries for 2023 like it had in 2022 when Race for the Championship aired on USA Network and later Peacock. It opted instead for the playoff-only route amid a trying season off the track as teams in NASCAR are locked in negotiations over a new revenue-sharing deal. Adding the negotiations of a full-season docuseries proved to be unalluring to the sides. But with the playoffs starting in 2 weeks after next weekend's regular season finale, God, I can't talk, at Daytona, NASCAR has yet to announce plans for the content series around its 10-week playoffs. Sources say that because the sanctioning body is trying to finalize plans to air the docuseries on the platform that finally boosted F1 to stardom in the U.S. after decades of trying. Drivers and teams have been informed of the plans and are working with NASCAR on the effort, some of the people familiar with the matter said. The financial terms of the proposed deal could not yet be confirmed, and it was unclear when the show would debut. NASCAR has no on-air record comment for this article. NASCAR has previously worked with Netflix. A docuseries on Bubba Wallace's journey aired on the platform in 2022 and later won a Sports Emmy Award. The streamer has more than 200 million subscribers globally. We just said that as well. So yes, Netflix, I'm sure many of you are aware of what that is. It is a streaming platform, one of the top streaming platforms in the world, as it said, 200 million subscribers globally. People are moving towards the streaming aspect. We talked about that with the new TV deal in place or looking to be in place. Streaming is one of the big things. Will NASCAR go to full-time streaming anytime soon, or will it start to transition into that? Well, how do you start off with that? This isn't going to be live, but this is going to be a recorded series. It's a docu-series. It's almost like a documentary. I think this is great, honestly. It's exposure to NASCAR. It gives us more insight into NASCAR, insight that even long-time hardcore fans like myself probably haven't seen. And so when either a casual NASCAR viewer or someone who's never watched NASCAR, when they see this, they're going to be like, oh, that's kind of interesting, that thing behind the scenes, whether it's in the garage, whether it's about a driver. And that's another thing I think is important. The drivers, getting the personality, learning about all the drivers. Now, obviously, they're not going to be able to go through all 36 full-time drivers. But, you know, some of the top ones, whether it's Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, whoever it may be, we're going to get a look into either their race weekend lives or maybe their at-home lives. USA tried this last year with the Race for the Championship docuseries, and it was pretty good. I watched a couple episodes of it, but the problem was it was on USA Network and then was streamed on Peacock. And, you know, once again, they tried, and it was good, but you're not really reaching out to many people. Not everyone has the USA Network. Not everyone's going to watch the USA Network, or some people might not even know they have the USA Network if it wasn't for races being on there. And then as for Peacock, it's the NBC streaming platform. I don't know. I just feel like I don't hear about anyone saying, hey, let's go watch the Peacock. I don't know. But anyways, the point being is that this is a pretty good opportunity to get to know the drivers, to know the teams. And that's something NASCAR's really been lacking, honestly. we used to see NASCAR have these big personalities, these guys who everyone knew. Even if you weren't a NASCAR fan, you knew who Jeff Gordon was in the early 2000s, late 90s. You knew, everyone still knows who Dale Earnhardt was. You had some of these big names, big faces who, even if you didn't know what NASCAR was, you couldn't name two drivers. You could name one, maybe. And so I think NASCAR's trying to get back to that point to try to find who is their guy, who is going to be the next thing that everyone knows. Like, you know, if I go knock on my neighbor's door and say, hey, you know anything about NASCAR? They say no. I'm going to say, okay, well, do you think you could name a driver? They might honestly still say Dale Earnhardt or Jeff Gordon or Dale Jr. So NASCAR's trying to get kind of that next person, I guess, and this is a way to do it. I think this is also great because, as I said, getting the inside look to a NASCAR team to see how NASCAR operates, whether it's a track, a team, a driver, everything. There's so much. It's so much more than NASCAR's turning left. Now, I tell people that when they ask, why do you like NASCAR? I'm like, you know, I understand. It's boring if you don't know what's going on. If you turn on the TV not knowing what NASCAR is and just see a bunch of cars turning left, there's really not much going on when you don't know what's going on. Honestly, you got to admit to yourself. But once you learn about the teams, once you learn about how much more complicated it is than the cars turning left, you have to learn about the strategies, pit stops, the mechanical side of things to some degree. Once you learn all that, it makes it much more interesting. And, you know, if people can kind of figure that out, I think that's big for NASCAR. It's big for everyone. And NASCAR's made a lot of big steps in the past, honestly, 3 years in terms of trying to expand the fan base, trying to do new things. We've seen them add a lot more road courses like Circuit of the Americas, which is currently hosting an F1 race as well, and a lot of other major motorsports. I think MotoGP goes there as well. We've seen them go to Road America. We've seen them go to the Indianapolis road course now. You know, a lot more road courses than they used to. And then outside of just like new road courses, they've expanded the type of racetracks they've gone to outside of just your normal ovals and road courses. They have put dirt on Bristol. They did a street race in Chicago. NASCAR's really tried their best to expand what they do, and they're looking to go international, whether it's Canada, Mexico, Europe is a long shot for now, I'm still going to say. But, you know, they're trying their best to expand their fan base outside of, one, just the U.S., and two, just the Southeast U.S., because, let's be honest, the majority of the fan base is there. And that's not a problem at all. Having fans, a loyal, dedicated fan base in the Southeast is not a problem. It's great. The fact of the matter is, NASCAR doesn't care where the fans come from. They just want more of them. You know, you look at the ratings and stuff, they've gone down over the past couple of decades. You want to get that back up. And expanding to new fan bases, to new areas of the country or world, is one way to do it. And this is another way to do it. If someone's looking for something to watch, you know, they could have the NASCAR docu-series. I don't know what they're going to call it. They call the F1 docu-series Drive to Survive. I don't know what they would call this one. Drive to Survive NASCAR edition. I really don't know. But speaking of Drive to Survive, the F1 edition, here's why it is very important for NASCAR. If they do end up following through and doing this, they got to hit it. Honestly, in my opinion, it doesn't matter how. That sounds bad, but here's the thing about the F1 docuseries. Seasons 1 and 2 were fantastic. Gave you a behind-the-scenes look, driver negotiations in terms of contracts. They went through the entire field. You know, you saw up front Mercedes. You talked about them a bit. Then you went to kind of the midfield, you know, Renault, McLaren, that battle for, what was it, 4th in the standings in 2019 or 2020. And then you went to even the back markers like Haas. You talked about the whole field, the whole range of the field, and you got a perspective on almost every single team and how different it was. Just the smallest things and how different they were. The technical aspect, the drivers, the team principles, every small detail they talked about. And it was amazing. It was great to learn that aspect about F1, a new thing that many had not seen in terms of the insider look of F1. Then seasons 3 and 4 happened, and 5, I think. Are they on season 5 or 6? I can't remember. And it got a little over dramatic, which is what I fear of this. This is my one fear, and that is because, once again, season one and two were fantastic. You know, they were accurate. They told you what was happening. They gave you this behind-the-scenes look that was amazing. All these details and stuff, and it was great. Things you don't get to see on a normal Grand Prix Sunday on the Sky Sports broadcast. But 3 and 4 got over dramatic. They started making up storylines. They started using quotes like, if Lando Norris said, "Oh, this guy wrecked me at Hungary," they would try to use it for the race at Brazil, which is like 4 months later in the calendar. Like, it just doesn't make sense. They try to make drivers hate each other that don't hate each other. It just gets blown way out of proportion, and it's not fun if you know what's going on. If you don't know what's going on, it's entertaining, it's exciting, but the fact of the matter is, if you do that and you draw in some new fans, yeah, it's great you draw in new fans, but then when they see, you know, for last year, it would have been Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. Oh, Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson have wrecked each other twice for the lead, or Larson's wrecked Elliott twice for the lead. Chase Elliott hates Kyle Larson and won't talk to him, and all the Netflix fans are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, they hate each other." And then it's going to be like pre-race of the next week at Daytona or whatever, and Elliott and Larson are laughing together, and they're going to be like, "Oh, Netflix lied to me." Like, you know, it's... So I think if we can get that in detail, behind the scenes, things we've never seen before, accurate description, it's going to be great. Yes, I know it's Netflix. You need a little bit of drama, so maybe embellish a little bit. You're allowed to do that because it's Hollywood. But please don't make up fake rivalries. Please don't misuse radio quotes. And please get the engine noise accurate. That always bugs me on watching Drive to Survive. Like, a driver will be in the slowest part of the track braking into a turn, and they have the car in 8th gear going the highest speed with DRS, and you can hear the engine going, "Eh!" It's like, they're at the slowest point of the track. Why do you have the engine noise so 8th gear? And then another thing about the Drive to Survive series is it's really blown up the U.S. fan base in terms of F1. Look at the 2019 attendance to the U.S. Grand Prix. 268,000. Then after the blow up, the, you know, explosion of F1 in the U.S., the 2021 U.S. Grand Prix was the first race after that happened because there was no race in 2020 because of COVID. 400,000. And then also outside of that, you know, just the attendance blow up at COTA, the U.S. now has 3 races. Austin still gets a race, and then they have one in May in Miami, and they're having the inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix on the Las Vegas Strip in November. But anyways, point being, I think this is great for NASCAR to try to do something with Netflix. It's a great opportunity, great potential to reach out to a new fan base, and it's not just one specific area. Like with the Chicago Street Race, that was specifically trying to get Chicago, people from Chicago, to go to the race to get that fan base activated, in a sense. I don't know if activated is the right word. Netflix, everyone has access to Netflix. It's a pretty broad and general audience that you could reach out to. So I think this is a great idea. I hope this goes through. Netflix is a much bigger capacity than USA Network. No offense to the people on the production of that show. Once again, I enjoyed it. It just doesn't have the reach of Netflix. So thanks for watching. We talked about this for quite a while. Tonight, I'm pretty sure it'll be tonight. If not, I may push it to tomorrow. And then at that point, I would tell you in the community post, Prosper, Texas's own Chris Buescher, we're going to do his championship case. So thanks again. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. We'll talk about any other NASCAR news that comes up. We got Watkins Glen this week in a very important race right before the playoffs. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon.